This tutorial is about a card holder slash money holder. So you can put your credit cards in here, you can put your money in here, and then it's got velcro so it will velcro together to stay put. Ta-da! This is one of my books that I put all of my patterns in that I come up with. I've got a whole nother notebook filled with them as well. So for the wallet, this is what my patterns look like, and then I go through and I write down all the steps so that way I know what I'm doing next and I don't skip a step and mess up. So for this wallet, we're going to need two pieces, the base pieces, front and back, 11 centimeters by 19 centimeters. You're going to need one thing of interfacing. You could probably make it 10 by 18. Then you're going to need three pieces that are 11 centimeters by 11 centimeters for the pockets. Then you're going to need one piece that's 5 centimeters by 5 centimeters for the tag, which is optional. You don't have to have it. And then if you have a label with your logo on it or something sweet that says something about you, then add that in as well. And then these are all of my steps. All right, so we're going to measure 11 centimeters. And I'm just using a pencil because you're not going to see this side of the fabric anyway. If I draw anything on the pretty side of the fabric, I use fabric pens that erase when they're heat erasable fabric pens. I forgot this part, so I'm editing it in, but what you're going to do is take your interfacing for the base piece of fabric, and you are going to mark 1 inch down to the side and then 1 inch from the side, and you want to make sure that you're on the side that opens. Then you're just going to draw a circle that connects, or a curve that connects those two lines, and then you'll cut it. Now let's apply our interfacing. So let's take our pocket pieces. The shiny side goes down. And let's make sure we can fold it in half. Okay. Flip it over and iron. We're going to do that to all of our pieces that get interfacing. Now take your small tab piece. You're going to fold the edges to the middle. Iron those down. Then you're going to fold it in half and iron that down. Take your tab, just fold it in half long ways and clip it into place so it doesn't come undone. I'm also going to use this guy. I'll just put this part in the tab whenever I go to sew it. Now we're going to start sewing. So take your pocket piece, and you want the interfacing long ways, and you're just going to fold this in half so the pretty sides are facing together, and you are going to stitch along the edge. Now when I get to the end of the fabric, I'm not going to pull it out and cut it so that I don't waste so much thread. I'm just going to lift my presser foot, slide it back just a little bit, put my new piece in, put my needle down, presser foot down, and start sewing. Then you're just going to turn these right side out Also, make sure you backstitch at the beginning and end, so that way it's less likely that the thread will come undone and that it won't rip while you're trying to turn it right side out. Having the damnedest time with this. The pockets are kind of crinkly since I turned it right side out, so I'm gonna take them over to the iron and just iron them flat so they're nice and neat. I love a good top stitch, so now we're just going to top stitch across the top, like not even half a centimeter from the edge. Take your first pocket and make sure that this, if you have this seam side where you top stitched, turn that over and then place your pocket and mark where those lines are at the top. Mark the pocket, then mark 4 centimeters up, place your pocket, and mark 2 centimeters down on top of the pocket so that way you can see your line. And then the bottom pocket will just line up with the bottom of the fabric. Now you will stitch on the pockets at the bottom. So stitch this one first, then your middle pocket, and then your bottom pocket. You can clip this in place. However, I've been pretty good about just keeping the fabric lined up where it's supposed to be. We're just going to stitch at the bottom. I'm going to use Velcro for this. If you want, you can use a snap. But what I did is I placed one piece of Velcro on the top. I did the soft side at the top. You can fold it in half and then place the other side down at the bottom. And then you're going to take this over to the sewing machine and stitch around. You can do a triangle, that's fine. When you're doing the bottom piece, make sure you unfold the bottom pocket so that way you're not stitching right there and stitching those pockets closed right there basically. So we're just going to open it, flip it, and then stitch. Okay, I'm going to use this little clasp thing, but I put my tab around it and I'm going to place the end seams at the top of the pocket. I'm going to have it hanging over just a smidgen, like 3 hairs. And then I'm going to clip that so that it stays. And then I'm going to take my other piece of fabric. We want to make sure that it's the right side up. And we're going to place that on top. And we are going to stitch around. We're going to leave probably just stitch about 2 centimeters on each side and leave the middle open. Now when I'm stitching, when I get to the corner, I leave my needle down in the thread, lift my presser foot, turn my fabric, and then just start sewing again. I'm back stitching over the tab so that way it stays in there good. Let's clip our corners. I forgot to round out the fabric. Darn it. That's okay. No big deal. Make sure you poke your corners, and then you're going to fold in your raw edges and stitch across. Now I should have left I wasn't paying attention. I should have left my raw edges up here at the top so that way I could top stitch around, because I don't want to take away any more space from the pockets, because then they won't be able to fit a card in here, but that's alright. We'll just top stitch at the bottom. And I'm going to go ahead and top stitch around the top. I just want to see if that makes it look cleaner. I'm just placing my my needle right above that pocket, and then I'm just going to stitch around to the top pocket. And here we have it. This is our little card holder / money holder. So you can close it up. Voila.